Hello there, my name is Fernanda. I am from Hitchhiking Stars, and as usual, creating videos every Fridays, taking on a journey for the astrological transits of the week. So, what's going on in the sky? How can we navigate our lives based on that? And what are the best opportunities that are being reflected in the sky for us? And how to take our suffering boards and sort of surf these waves that the astrological transits are representing. So as you can see, I've got a different background behind me. So I'm not in Brazil anymore, as I mentioned in the previous video. So I'm in England. I'm in Bristol at the moment. You can see the beautiful countryside in the back. So no more big city, I guess, for now. And it's very cold. It was snowing when I arrived. And yeah, just personally feeling quite tired. I don't know if any one of you following me here, subscribing to my channel or watching my videos, if you do have any mutable signs there, have you got anything in Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, or Sagittarius? Have you got any personal planet, anything in your chart that's in this, any of those signs? Because Saturn has moved into Pisces. So we talked a little bit about Saturn moving to Pisces in the previous video, and now it's happened. So together with the full moon last week, we also had Pisces, Saturn moving to Pisces. I've been writing a blog post about it as well, but I definitely have been feeling quite strongly. So I have Sun and Mercury in my natal chart, very early degrees of Virgo, so it's making an opposition very strongly. So I think the opposition in my case, because it picks up the fourth house as well, is sort of like, you know, reflective of a lot of different dimensions. Remember, astrological symbols are multivalent, so they don't only mean something like one thing or another, and also is never just either or as well. There's like lots of different dimensions that the astrological symbol stands for. So in my case, I think there's a lot about parents. So my parents getting older and me becoming very, very aware of that process is also a lot, because Saturn is in my fourth, like I mentioned, is also a lot about belonging and home and where, you know, what am I actually doing with my life in terms of putting down roots. You know, I think those have been like very important questions for me for a while, for a few years, since Pluto has squared my moon. So now with Saturn opposing my personal planets in Virgo, I think from the fourth house, I think there's a lot of that feeling of like, actually, I miss Brazil, which is something I never thought I would say or feel really, even, to be honest. Like when I moved countries, I always thought, actually, I never want to go back to Brazil. I feel great here. I love speaking English. I love a lot of things about England, including the weather. Mind, I don't really mind the cold so much. I kind of enjoy it. If I can be somewhere warm, you know, I actually do enjoy it as well. I love the country, the nature, the landscape. I feel very connected to. But for some reason, this time in particular that I came and Saturn just shifted into Pisces and started like opposing my personal plans, I kind of feel a little bit like, actually, maybe I'm a bit done with this lifestyle, or even like the realization that my base isn't really in England anymore. Maybe, you know, it's like a proper shift of base. Rebuilding foundations, right? So for all of you having a Saturn transit in the fourth house, is like rebuilding foundations. There is a lot of texts talking about death, and not physical death necessarily, but a process of death. So really restarting a whole new cycle of your life. In traditional astrology, the fourth house was considered the house of Hades, so the house of death. So definitely is something that I've been feeling since Saturn crossed over my IC, which has been, you know, a couple of years already, because my IC is in Aquarius. So these are my feelings since this huge shift has taken place. So let me know in the comments, what are you going through? How have you been feeling this? If you've been noticing anything, if you've been watching anything. You know, the interesting thing about astrology is that once you get interested in, you can start tracking so many things, and you can make sense of different processes in your life, right? I mean, Saturn was conjoined by Mars when I left London as well, when I went for a big hitchhiking trip. And I remember feeling that I needed to get in touch with my masculine side and my self, my independency, my self-regulation, and all of that. And now it's going to square it. So it's like the second step of that cycle. So there's something quite interesting about tracking our lives using astrology. So I really, really highly recommend for you as well. So share with me, if you will, because I love to know what's been going on, how you've been tracking this, how you've been feeling about these different transits as well, and how are they manifesting for you? How's the Saturn transiting in your chart? Is it going to be moving houses soon? Like, what's going on there? I'll be really, really curious to know. So let me share my screen while we're recording here, and let's have a look at the transits for now. So you can see I've changed it to Bristol. That's where I am now. Always traveling, always moving around, and I guess even like shifting my base doesn't mean I'm not going to travel anymore. I do think that travel is a huge part of my life, but I think I do want to spend more time in Brazil than somewhere else. At least for now, at least as my parents get older, and so I can enjoy their company a lot more. So anyhow, this is the transit. These are the transits for now, 10th of March. We have a relatively quiet week. We came out of that full moon in Virgo and the shift as well of Saturn to Pisces, which is not going to go back to Aquarius, which is interesting because a lot of times planets move to a sign and then they retrograde back and then forward again. That's not the case. So we do have, like I said, a relatively quiet week. So I'm going to go day by day here. So we have a look. So here is the moon moving to Scorpio tomorrow on Saturday, and reflecting moods. Remember, moon reflects some, mood swings, mood changes, and how we kind of feel throughout the day as well. And paying close attention to Pluto. That's a 45 minutes of arc. So it's very, very close to shift into Aquarius as well. So all the early degrees of Aquarius, that's important to you. That's something very, very relevant to you. And the early degrees of fixed signs, really. Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo as well. So here we have moon 21 degrees, Scorpio trine the sun here in Pisces. So there's a kind of a moon and sun in water signs. There's a kind of an interesting, we have the masculine planets, masculine, feminine planets, again, not in a binary sense, but in a yang, right? I like to think about yin and yang energy. So we've got the two yin and yang in harmony on Sunday the 12th. So we've got moon trine sun, and we've got Venus sextile Mars as well. That's quite cool. That's an interesting day to share, to be with people, to be able to practice a little bit, what our needs are versus what their needs are, and like compromise and be able to do things in a more balanced way. I don't know. There's a kind of a promise of a little bit more balance during this weekend for that reason. Jupiter and Chiron are still traveling together, still kind of reflecting this heightened awareness of our wounds, of our individual wounds, of the wounds around the Aries principle, right? Of being an individual, of being courageous, of being initiator of something, all of this stuff that I've been talking about on previous videos as well. Now, what I find that's one of the most interesting things for this week until next Friday is a triple conjunction. So before that, on Tuesday, we have the last square, the closing square of the lunar cycle, right? So it's kind of coming to a closure for the lunar cycle. So that's great for, getting yourself ready for the new moon, really. And interestingly, we have a new moon right at the beginning of the Aries season, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on the next video next week. But there is an Aries new moon at 0 degrees right on the equinox. So really, really symbolically relevant, like of a new beginning, of a fresh start, and we can really put our energy there. on fresh projects, fresh starts. Also, another important thing is the square to Neptune is the last square between Mars and Neptune. Mars, remembering that Mars has been in Gemini for a very long time. So there's something that we've been dealing with for quite a while, you know, and I think since like August last year when Mars moved to Gemini, and then it went retrograde in October, and we've been dealing with this energy of Mars in Gemini for a while. So that Mars is square to Neptune in Pisces again. And I think it does reflect that sense of like needing to find out what you need to do through meditation, through, you know, rather than taking any kind of impulsive action. I think it's good to hold on, not taking impulsive action, because you might not know everything that you need to know. There might be some confusion around the information. So if you can take this week to just chill a little bit, you know, get yourself ready for the intentions with the new moon in Aries and the new beginning with the new astrological year as well. I think that's the best thing that we can do during this week. Kind of relax, go with the flow, try to get in tune with our spiritual practices a little bit more. You know, Pisces season is brilliant for that. And yeah, just sort of like get prepared for getting a bit more clarity as we set intentions for the new moon, which will be happening on the 20th or the 21st of March. I think it's the 21st of March. So here we come. This is what I wanted to talk about. Look at this. So we've got Sun, Neptune, Mercury all at 25 degrees Pisces. So this is a triple conjunction in Pisces. It's square Mars as well. So there is that square of like a kind of a restlessness of wanting to say something. Gemini, right? Wanting to move on with it, wanting to express something, wanting to take action towards something, in relation to something. But it's really good if we can just hold on, just wait, meditate, look inwards, do the movement that's more Piscean, Neptunian, write texts. Creative writing is brilliant for creative writing. That's, you know, one of the things that really comes to my mind when I think about this square between Mars, Mercury, Neptune, Sun. So if you really feel restless towards communicating something, that's the best time for you to actually just write it down. Don't send it to anyone. Don't make any sudden sort of movement that you might regret. But it's a really brilliant time for expressing yourself somehow, in your private life, in your daily life. Beautiful as well for like daydreaming, which is another thing that we think about with Pisces, right? So this is going to be happening on Thursday, the 16th of March. So there's something quite beautiful, inspiring that we could be doing on that Thursday. One of the best ways of expressing these energies as well. All right. There is a square between the moon and Jupiter on that day as well. So be careful with overindulgence, abusing drugs. You know, there's the Pisces there. So just chill, just be a bit careful with that as well. Just take it easy. Do affirmations instead, which I think is a beautiful way of using that Mercury, Neptune, Sun. Reprogramming yourself with guided meditations, affirmations. Those things are so beautiful. And also, again, if you have planets around those degrees of the mutable signs, so Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Virgo, then that's definitely triggering a Neptune transit that you're having. So it could be a lot more personal for you. And I would suggest, go to the movies, do something that will be Piscean, Neptunian, go to an art gallery or go for a walk in nature. If you can take at least a chunk of time from these days to nourish your soul, to reclaim inspiration, to be connected with inspiration, divine inspiration, then I think that's one of the best ways of manifesting this energy, right? And the Friday, so between that Thursday and Friday, we have Venus ingressing to Taurus. So that's also another interesting development there. Venus will be entering its own sign, will be very powerful, and will be showing like this period of time where we can just pamper ourselves a little bit more. My partner has Venus in Taurus, and I can't Like I don't get tired of observing him and, you know, seeing how much appreciation he has for like foods and like sensual sort of pleasures and comfort and beauty. And so all of that will be highlighted for the time that Venus is going to be traveling Taurus. All right. So so this is it for this week. Taking that time for the inspiration, taking that time for resting, going into a new moon mode, which will be coming soon, and getting some clarity by yourself over time with patience, by reconnecting with your inspiration with that triple conjunction, to know what you want to set intentions for, you know, to be a little bit more aware of what you want to be bringing into this new astrological year. You know, how do you want this year to go? How does your life look like in its best? You know, at best, how does it look like? How does success look like for you? How are you dressed? How is your house looking? What kind of house would you have? You know, if money wasn't a problem, what kind of activities would be doing as well? Would you be doing? So so those are things that are great for us to ponder on, and you know, enjoy navigating this inspirational energy. I am Fernanda Paiva from Hitchhiking Stars, and I'll be going now. Wishing you all a wonderful weekend and a beautiful week as well. Hopefully chilled and restful as the astrology is looking like, you know, taking the advantage to just rest a little bit more with that. And please write in the comments how you're feeling, what's going on for you. And I'll be seeing you all next Friday. So take care now.